Do you have items in your craft stash that are neglected and unused, but you can't bear to get rid of them? Welcome to Use It or Lose It, a weekly YouTube series where I'll dive into the products that you have lying around in your craft room and the products I have lying around in mine. After I've created something, I'll decide if I think I'll use it again or if it needs to give up that precious space in my stash, and I hope you'll play along. Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm excited to bring you another episode of Use It or Lose It. Today we're talking about ribbon. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I have lost my ribbon stash in the past and I've recently acquired these ribbons. This is my entire collection of ribbon, but so many people have said that they have a hard time using ribbon, which I also have a hard time with, but I have some fun ideas, and so I wanted to share those with you today. I'm actually going to focus on I'm going to use a kit that I had put together in my Project Life card or my Pocket Page card Use It or Lose It episode, where I just gathered together a bunch of different journaling cards and some photos, and I'm going to use those for my layout today. And if you haven't tried that, putting your journaling cards with photos in little kits, I think that's a great way to get those used up. But today I'm going to be using the ribbon with it. I'm going to, because of the colors that are in this photo, I'm going to stick with these, mostly these bright colors here. I think I'm going to add in the red because there's some red in there as well. And maybe this pink. So it's going to be a variety of different colors. And I'm going to make some ribbon flowers, and this is something that was kind of popular for a little while. I don't know if it was more in the like kind of jewelry arena of crafting or if it was in scrapbooking. I don't remember, but I used to do this often, and I'm going to make some flowers. I have some leaf dies that I got recently on Amazon that I'm going to use in conjunction with my flowers, and so I'll show you that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this and get started on my layout. Alright, so I'm starting with 2 sheets of white cardstock. One of them has this floral stenciled print on it, and it's left over from another project I had. And I'm just pulling out some of these cards now to see what I might want to use. And I'm mostly going to go with those watercolored cards, that camera, and then also that multicolored print at the top. So I'm just going to fussy cut some things out here. And I also fussy cut out these little watercolor splotches, which I really love. And now what I'm doing is punching a circle. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit too far here, but I will zoom out in a little bit. I'm just showing you how I'm going to put together these flowers. So basically what I'm doing is covering a circle with some red line tape, and I just have some, I think it's 1/2 inch or maybe it's 3/4 inch red line tape, but it also comes in sheets, so I'll make sure to link to that in the video description. And I'm just pulling out my first color of ribbon, and this is from the pink Paislee Turn the Page collection. And basically what you do to get started is you just kind of roll the ribbon and twist it in your hand to make a little ball, and then stick it right to the center, and then you're going to twist and turn the ribbon and press it down onto that really sticky red line tape as you go around in a circle. So basically I'm just twisting it and turning it. Now this ribbon is single-sided, and so I'm just making sure when I twist it that I've got some color showing, but on some ribbons it really doesn't matter. And again, I'm sorry I'm a little bit out of frame. I zoomed in a little bit too far, but I will zoom out here in just a second. So as I get to the end, I just cut it off, and then I'm taping it to the back with some washi tape. Just taping the ribbon end to the back, and there you can see it finished. And here I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you another one. So I'm just going to punch out another circle. I'm going to do a variety of sizes of punched out circles, and then I'm also going to hand cut some that out as well. It doesn't really matter if it's perfect because you're going to cover it up. So here's this scalloped circle, and I decided to cut off those scallops, but it probably wouldn't have mattered if I would have left them on. So again, I'm just covering, maybe this is 1 inch wide tape. I think it is. Anyway, it's from Thermoweb, and I'm just covering up that circle, and you can see I'm using the pieces that I cut off the edges to fill in the gaps in the center, just so I don't waste any. I don't need to cut a whole other piece. And then what I do is just rip off that red backing paper, and I'm just using some scrap paper to do this on. And then what I can do is grab my ribbon. So here's another one from that same pink Paislee collection. Kind of roll up the center and then start rolling it around in a circle as I kind of twist the ribbon and press it down. And it's really, really easy. And once you get the hang of it, you can make these in no time. And it's really simple. You can also stitch these together, hand stitch them, but it's so much easier to just use a really sticky tape. You could use hot glue as well if that's something that you would prefer. So, and it might be a little bit less expensive, I guess, too. So as I mentioned, I just roll it all around, and then when I get to the end, I cut it off, and then I'm just taping it onto the back. And so I'm going to make several of these circles, and here you can see some more done. That pink one, that bright pink one, I did with some tulle, and so I just used a little bit more tulle so it bunched up a little more, so it had a little bit more of a solid look. Now this kind of mauve colored ribbon, I'm taking some alcohol markers too in 2 shades of purple, because there's purple in the photos and I want to make sure that I get a color like that. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I really don't have a lot of colors of a ribbon, and so I'm just altering the color here with these markers. And these are ShinHan Twin Touch alcohol markers that I got from Close to My Heart. You could also use Copic markers for this. So I'm just switching off the colors so that when I roll it up, it kind of has a variegated look, and you'll see that when I roll it, and it looks really, really pretty actually. And I would definitely try this again. And because the ribbon's so absorbent, it goes through to the other side, and so both sides are colored. And I just dried it a little bit because I want to make sure it sticks to the adhesive, and so I don't want it to be wet in any way. So you could also dye this with ink. Like if you have re-inkers, you could do it with that, or with alcohol ink, anything like that. So any way that you want to change up the color of your ribbon, you could definitely do that. And I'll show that more later too. So again, just adhering the tape to the circle, and I'm cutting off the extra bits and using them to fill in the blanks. And I'm using some Tim Holtz non-stick craft scissors there, and I will link to all of the products that are available in the video description, as I usually do. I will also link to our Facebook group, which I'm excited about. I know some of you said you didn't have Facebook. We're still hashtagging things on Instagram with the hashtag crafty use it or lose it, so be sure to use and follow that hashtag. You can now follow a hashtag, not just a person. And if you do Facebook, then go ahead and join our group. I'll leave links in the video description. So you can see this purple flower turned out really pretty, and it's got kind of a two-tone look to it, which I really love. And I'm sure I'll flip it over here in a second. So I'm wanting to add in this red color because in the 2 patterned ribbons that I used, there is a little bit of this kind of orangey red color. So I'm just using some double-sided tape to put around the edges of that circle, and then I'm going to press this ribbon onto it so that it gives like a ruffled border to this little small flower that I made. And I think it's really cute. So I'm going to do this to a couple of the flowers, and I think it gives a really fun look. Now this might be an interesting color scheme to you. The red does throw it off a little bit, but I actually like it. And it is different though. So I understand if it's not your cup of tea, but I'm going to make one more of these little flowers in yellow because I wanted another one to line with the red, and I didn't feel like any of the other ones would work for that. So I am making a small yellow one, and I put the red on the outside, and I think that looks really cute. So now I'm going to play around with the arrangement of these flowers. And because I have 6, I thought about doing 2 clusters of 3 kind of on the diagonals of the photo, and I think that would have looked nice. And I think it would have also looked nice if I would have done them all in a row on the top or the bottom. But what I end up doing is something along the side of the layout. And here what I'm doing is cutting out some leaves. So as I mentioned, I'm going to use some of these leaf dies that I recently got on Amazon. They were super inexpensive. I will leave a link in the video description. They're really cute, really fun to add to any flowers. I use flowers a lot on my layouts, so I love having these leaves, and dies have been something that I have been collecting lately. So if you're interested in a use it or lose it episode on dies, or punches or both, let me know, because I definitely have plenty of those types of things and lots of ideas on different ways that you can use them. So if you're interested in something like that, just let me know. And as always, you can leave any of your ideas for future episodes in the comments below. So here I am going back to the patterned, well, what this was a floral stencil, and I cleaned it off on this paper. And so it does have a floral look to it, but when I cover it all up, you really can't see the floral very much. But I like the color of it and the texture that it adds, so I go ahead with it anyway. And here what I'm doing is just arranging those flowers, and I want to make it so that the two red ones aren't on the same side and they're a little bit spread apart. So I'm just kind of playing around with the arrangement there until I get it a way that I like it, and I'm just going to move the flowers around over and over, and there it kind of looks good. And so what I'll do is I'll place my photos to the right of it. So I'm kind of creating an L-shaped or a T-shaped design here, and I'm just going to tuck in those little leaves. And speaking of the design, I just wanted to make mention that I have a class coming out soon. So watch for that. I will announce it on my YouTube channel called Go To Design, and it's all about the designs that I use over and over on layouts and how you can make them different but use them over and over again. So I'm just cutting out some more leaves now. What I've done so far is cut some out of yellow and then kind of a yellowy green. And in the photos, the girls are wearing some glasses that have like a spring green on them. And so I decided to cut out these leaves in this green adhesive backed paper that I have. I've had it forever. It's a 4x6 stack from Die Cuts with a View. And I like the adhesive back because it makes it easy to put the leaves on later. But I'm just using my little diamond press tool to cut those out, and it's just like a little tiny desktop. It only cuts things up to 2 inches wide, but I keep it right next to me and it's really easy to use, so I like having that. And I will link to it if I can find somewhere for you to buy it in the video description. I received it from the company, and I know they sell it, I think on HSN or QVC, I can't remember, but I will link to it wherever I can find it for you. So now I'm just, again, tucking in those leaves, and I do like the pop of green. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is kind of an interesting color scheme, but I really actually like the way it's a little bit crazy, because my title is going to be Cute and Crazy, because the photos they're being really silly in the photos. So I like that journaling card up at the top. It brings all the colors together, and I found this stickers set from Amy Tangerine that's white, and so I'm going to color it, and I'm testing it out on this asterisk here to see what kind of color I might want to use, because I want to color the word crazy. And so I'm just playing around with a few different shades, and I'm thinking that I might want to bring in that orangey red color, and so I'm just trying out some different markers that I have here. Again, I'll link to the exact markers that I used in the video description. So I'm using a red and then coloring this kind of light orange over the top, and it makes the perfect orangey red. And so I really like the way that ends up looking. I think that your items go a lot further when you can customize them. So I liked being able to do that on the ribbon and also on these stickers. I'm just coloring the red off on a piece of scratch paper off that alcohol marker. And I have some products that I received from Pretty Little Studio from the, I can't remember the collection now. It's an autumn sort of collection. I will link, it's Potpourri. I'll link to it in the video description as well. It's by Marie-Pierre Capistran, who I love. And if you're watching, hi Marie, I love these products. And I'm going to be using some of them on the layout in a little bit. Right now, I'm using these stickers that I actually got at Walmart in their little kind of scrapbooky section. It has 2 sheets of a whole bunch of different kinds of alphabets. I just flipped through there for you to see. And there's this really cute kind of brush script. And so I used it to spell the words cute and then I'll put it above the word crazy. So I decided to mount my photos on some white cardstock. I'm just using my tiny little swing line trimmer here to cut the photo mats down, and that is my favorite thing to use for that. Putting some adhesive in the center of the photos and overlapping them slightly. And I only put adhesive in the center so that I could tuck things in on the sides. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and commit to those flowers and their placement. So I will, as I put these on, kind of shove them together a little bit just so that they're a little closer and there's not white gaps between the flowers. I really love the way that the flowers turned out. I think they look super cute. I think they would work with any type of ribbon that you have. Even things like I mentioned, I put the tulle and I used that kind of red trim around the outside. So there's a few different ideas for you on that. You could even use twine. It would just take a little bit longer to roll that up since it's so thin. But yeah, just using some double-sided sticky tape from ThermoWeb. And I really like that tape. And now I put on the title. Now I'm going to overlap the word cute and the words cute and on the photo. And I overlap things quite often just to make them feel like they go together. And so it helps to tie everything together. So I cut that journaling card in half and I'm just trying to decide how I want to tuck it in here. It looked better before, and so I don't know what I did to make it look not as good. But now I'm thinking about tucking it into the right hand side. And so I cut the pieces down a little bit and I'm just thinking about layering them there, but I don't super love that. So I decide to layer them above the photo and I'm going to distress the edges here in a minute. So I'm pulling out the paint little splotchy thing that I cut out of one of the gorgeous potpourri cards, and I'm going to just use, I also cut out one that had blue and yellow on it, but it didn't quite match in the end, so I'm just going to use the purple and pink one, and I cut it in half so that I could use it above and below the photo. And I really love the way that looks. And so I'll tuck this little card from Freckled Fawn in behind that top layer. And I distressed the edges just with my scissors so that it gave it a little bit more definition. And so there's kind of where it brings all of that crazy color together in that little card. And so now what I'm doing is kind of arranging the leaves to see if I have what I need and if it looks good where I want it. And I'm just trying to distribute the color and the shape of the leaves so that there's not all of the same kind of thing close together. And I really am loving the way that it looks. I love the way that the leaves kind of fill it out. I think this would have looked cute without the leaves too, actually. And they don't even necessarily have to be flowers if you don't put the leaves on them. They can just be circles. But I really love the way that the leaves look. And so what I'm doing now is just using my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive and just putting a few dots of glue on the back of the leaves to glue those down. And I'm using a fine line bottle, which comes empty, and then you can put whatever kind of glue you like in it. And with these ones that have the adhesive on the back, these bright green ones, I'm just peeling off a little part of the adhesive because I want the leaves to still kind of poke out and have that movement and texture to them and have the leaves kind of puff up a little bit. So I'm just only taking off some of the adhesive on the back of that adhesive backed cardstock. And now I'm just finishing gluing these down, and I'm really loving the way this is coming together. I really, really love the impact that gathering a big cluster of embellishments like this brings to a layout. It's just really fun and funky, especially with the colors that I have going on. You could make this really elegant and pretty using really soft colors or even just white and pink, and that would be really gorgeous for a wedding type layout. Now what I'm doing is digging into some of the die cuts from that potpourri collection, and there is a pack that has different leaves and flowers, and they're in these colors. And so I thought I would just add in some of those watercolored leaves because they look just gorgeous, and I'm adding in some of the small little flowers as well. So I'm just adding a little bit of variety to this big floral cluster. And so I really like the way that the little flowers look scattered in with those big rolled roses that I created. And so I'm just kind of playing around with those and seeing what kinds of colors I want. I thought about maybe adding some more aqua, but I end up deciding not to. And this circle that I cut out of a Freckled Fawn journaling card, I decided to just cut out the camera, and I'm trying to decide where I want to put that right now.
So while I think about it, I'm going to glue down these leaves and flowers that I pulled out from that potpourri embellishment pack. And again, I'll link to all of these items in the video description below. And just adding just a little bit of glue again to the stems so that the leaves can kind of lift up on the edges, which I love. And then for the flowers, I'm just kind of bending up the petals a little bit and then putting some glue in the center and then just holding that down until it's dry enough to just leave on the page. And I'm just trying to scatter them in the spaces that are going on and kind of tucking some of them in behind. And I just absolutely love the way that that ended up looking. I think it was really fun. I think this layout would look really great with black and white photos because it's so bright, and you can play with the color like that if you want. But because I didn't use black and white photos, I thought it was important that I bring black and white into the layout. And so what I ended up doing was I used those letters that to spell the words cute and then I'm also using these flowers that were in that same die cut package, or not flowers, hearts, black hearts at the top, and then I'm using a black label on the side, which is from another a labels pack from the potpourri collection, and then I will end up adding some black splatters at the end. So here what I'm doing is I'm using some puffy dot stickers. I think they're from Studio Calico. Or from Allie Edwards. I can't remember. Actually, I think they're Allie Edwards December Daily or something. I thought I needed to bring in a little bit more of that red because it's kind of the color that's a little off. And so I pulled these out because they had that matching color, and I thought about using them in the centers of the flowers or just sprinkling them around. It just didn't quite look right to me. So I decided not to go with that. I'm going to put the camera to the right of that label, and I'm going to stamp the date on the label. And I like that it just adds a little bit of pop to that right hand side. I looked through the journaling cards to see if there was anything else that I wanted to use. I really loved that one with the falling hearts, but I decided not to use it because there's already a lot going on. And so what I pulled out here was some Friends stickers. I think they're from Mambi. I got them at Hobby Lobby. Actually, I got them from my friend CJ, and she got them at Hobby Lobby. But there's some red stickers on here that worked perfectly. One said silly. I can't remember what they all said anyway, but I just add 3 at the top, and that brings a little bit of that red color up, and I think it helps to tie things together. And so I used those. They are clear stickers, so they are a little bit transparent, but I mostly put them on the white so that you could really see them. And now I'm going back to these letter stickers because I thought it would be nice to maybe put the word cousins underneath the word crazy, because these two are best friends, but they're also cousins. And so I spell that out on some wax paper and decide that I don't want that word crazy to split up the black and white. I just want the black and white on top of the word. And so I'm not going to add the word cousins. I am going to take my black ink and just stamp the date. That's a Pebbles roller date stamp there. And I'm using some adhesive to just glue that down. And then I'm going to use some leftover foam adhesive that I have to pop up that camera. The rolled flowers have a lot of dimension, and so I thought it would be a nice thing to add a little dimension with that camera. So I just overlapped it with that little label, and you can kind of see the shutter of the camera wraps around the date, and I like the way it is. So here I'm just adding some black splotches, and that is the final touch.
All right, so now let's look at a few other ways that we can use ribbon. Now this isn't a complete layout, just something I quickly put together to show you in the video, but this is an idea I stole from my friend Shannon, and what I did was I covered the entire background of an 8.5 by 11 paper with burlap ribbon. So if you have a lot of a certain kind of ribbon, this is from Stampin' Up, and I have several rolls. If you have a lot of a certain kind of ribbon, this is a great idea. I especially love it with the burlap because it's very neutral and it works really well with nature-y photos, or this photo of my daughter riding a horse. I think when Shannon did it, she did Thanksgiving. Things like that work really well with the burlap, but I think this would also look really cool if you did all different colors, like maybe a rainbow, or if you tried doing all of the same tone, like maybe all pinks, but different ribbons that you have if you have a lot of different ribbons. So this is something that I really like for that. And I added felt flowers on here, which also adds to the texture. So I really love the texture of a ribbon background, especially this burlap. Now when she made it, I just threw this together so there's little spaces here. When she made it, she actually zigzag stitched between each piece of ribbon and it looked really adorable. So you could try something like this. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is something that I did in the video, but I wanted to show you that don't forget that you can alter the colors of your ribbons if you need something different by using a marker. I have these alcohol markers here, and if I wanted like a darker teal, I can just take my marker and make my ribbon a little bit darker. And because it's an alcohol marker, it leaks through to the back because the ribbon is so absorbent, and so it works really, really well for something like that. And so this is just making these darker. I'll show you if I put a little bit of this orangey color on here. I can make kind of like I can make an orange ribbon, which I don't have any orange ribbon, out of this kind of yellowy color, or I can kind of try different colors on different other colors to see what I get. So this kind of makes like a brownish color, and if I put this aqua teal color on the yellow, let's see what it does. So I kind of get a greeny blue. So you can try different markers on your ribbons and see if you can get a different look. You can use a bunch of different markers together on a ribbon to get like a variegated look, like I kind of did in the video as well. So that's another idea that you can do. Okay, so another way that you can use ribbon is in the place of anywhere that you would use washi. So if you were going to put like a layer underneath a photo, you could just put it in there. You could put ribbon in there with your layers. I especially like it on the side of the photo. This lacy pattern's really cute. The other thing that I like doing with ribbon that's different than what you can do with other kinds of materials, the fact that ribbon is pliable and that it's fabricy, you can do little like gathered things. So let me show you what I mean by that. I can't find my tape because my desk is a hot mess right now, but, oh, here it is. I'd rather use the tape. So I could stick this down on my page and then peel it up. And I'm sure that most of you have probably seen this, something like this before, but you can just lay down your ribbon, and then if you have that adhesive there, you can gather it as you go along, so that you get a ruffled look, kind of. You can also do this where you just use a little bit of adhesive and then you can stitch it down with your sewing machine if you want to put a little bit more effort into it. But this is a really pretty look, I think, and it's really easy to do. Now this, where I'm getting just these like little loops sticking up, but if I wanted to be a little bit more, I don't know, careful about it, I could glue those loops down so it looks more like a ruffle. But I think it looks really pretty and I like the texture. And then when I lay my photo on top of it, look at that. I think it's just really pretty. And especially if I were to do it like this, I love the way that it looks coming out the side there. So that's another idea that you could do with some ribbon. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is how you could weave ribbon through your background paper. So what I've done was I measured the ribbon and it's just barely over 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make little cut marks that are about 1/2 inch up and down every so often on my paper. So I'm just going to use the 2 right here on the side of my trimmer as my starting point for each one. And I've got the paper pushed up to the bottom of the trimmer. And I'm just going to do a little bit over 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to move this every inch, I'll say. So then again, I'll start at the 2 and do a little over 1/2 inch. And it's okay if you make it smaller, it's just going to make the ribbon bunch. In fact, I'll just show you, this doesn't have to be perfect because it's not really going on a layout, but I'll do a few that are smaller so that you can see how that would look. Okay, so this is just kind of random. I only have 4 here, but I think this is going to be enough to show you. So you could do them every other one closer together if you want. It's kind of hard to see the lines in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the back and I'm going to just push the ribbon through, and then I can push it through the front. Oops. Might need a little, I have a really thick piece of cardstock here. Okay, so that's how it's going to look if you cut it the size of the ribbon. Now the next one I have is a bit smaller, so I will go ahead and shove that through the front there, and you can see it's going to bunch it up a little bit. I could do it even smaller and make it bunch up even more, because that's barely bunched, but you can see the difference that you get there. And then if you wanted to put these ones closer together so that you have less room between the ribbons, that would be great. Or you could weave another color down this way. So I think that the weaving would be really a fun idea, and I really like how clean it looks when you actually weave it by cutting the little slits into the paper. So that's a fun idea as well. Another thing that you can try is backing a cut file with ribbon, just like you would with patterned paper. So you could just take your cut file. This is the Think Positive cut file in my shop. I don't have a lot of cut files in my shop, but I have a few. And you can just back the spaces with ribbon instead. So what I would probably do is grab a whole other 12 by 12 sheet of paper like this, and I would put the ribbon maybe on the background. So there's a thicker ribbon. You can use any size of ribbon for this, just as long as you kind of make sure that all of the spaces are filled. But you can back a cut file this way. And Paige Evans is the queen of using ribbon. I think she has a lot of good ideas, so I would definitely suggest checking her out. I'll leave a link to her YouTube channel in the video description. But she, I've seen her use ribbon to back a cut file like this before as well. So the other idea that I have is to use a larger ribbon as photo corners, and you could do this a couple of different ways. And it depends what look you're going for. Sorry, I've got this stuck to me. So one way is to just cut your ribbon into a square and then cut diagonally down the middle. So you could do photo corners like this. Now, if you like the way that looks, that's great. Or you can also do it to where you kind of wrap it around. So you could cut a piece like this, and then you can make a photo corner by wrapping. You can just line up the edge there and then wrap this around, and it gives it a more dimensional look, and you can actually tuck things up into there. So that's an idea for you as well. Another idea that I had just now as I was saying that was if you have, again, with a thicker ribbon, I think it would be really cool to do a bunch of layers of the ribbon. So let me show you what I mean. I'll just cut into this because I have several rolls of this ribbon. I'll just do 3 to show you here. Now, you could do this a couple of different ways. First of all, you can just layer your ribbon on top of each other like this so that you get kind of that little ruffle effect. Or if you wanted to, you could do it this way, and you could tuck things into the ribbon. So like you could tuck your photo into it, and different embellishments. I'm trying to see if I have anything out that I could tuck in. Anyway, you can tuck things in different parts of the ribbon so that you can really see the layers. Let me find something else to tuck into this layer. Sorry, just kind of playing around here. This is not something that you would do because it's not cute, but I think you understand. And then maybe that's your photo with a photo mat or something like that. So you can tuck things into the layers of the ribbon. I love that idea as well.
Here are some close-up photos of the final layout. Now the verdict for me is that I am going to use what I have, but I'm not going to buy any more. I don't think that ribbon is something I gravitate toward, but it's fun having ideas for uses for the ribbon that I already have. So I hope that you have enjoyed this process. So will you take up the challenge? Join us on Facebook in the Crafty Use It or Lose It group and tag your photos on social media, #CraftyUseItOrLoseIt. can't wait to see what you create. So, what do you have to use or lose? Leave a comment and you may see it in an upcoming episode. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future Use It or Lose It videos. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.